coming to you from deep beneath the murky waters that lie beyond the Lake Erie shoreline. This is the Cleveland Podcast! With Fred the Mud Monster and South Bay Caesar. Find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com. Now, join us as we journey through Northeast Ohio and the city of Cleveland.
All right.
Welcome to the Cleveland Podcast, the center of the best bullshit in the world.
Hey, Fred.
What's up, Caesar? You like salad?
Oh, don't do it again.
Oh, yeah, because, what, is this an anti-salad campaign?
Yes, it's an anti-salad joke campaign.
Don't bullshit me, Caesar. Where are you, Pompey?
What is Pompey?
Pompey's like the general that fought against Caesar, and Caesar's rise to power.
Oh.
Like, he's the main rival.
I should have known about him.
But they used to be buddies, though. In fact, Pompey was screwing around with Caesar's daughter, part of the deal, in order for Caesar to get power. You know, and it's a very odd... Roman history is very bizarre. But anyway, it's more than just us today. We have a very special guest.
Our very first guest.
A very first one. So it all goes downhill from here, so don't fuck this up. William Wolkoff, a videographer from Fox 8, someone who loves sports and has a very short haircut. Welcome, Will.
We didn't have the ability to do a sports episode on our own. As a fan of different teams, we need outsiders to come in.
Yes.
All right.
Well, this is an absolute honor. Thank you guys for having me. I have to set the bar for the rest of these guests going forward. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. So don't fuck up. Like I said, don't fuck up.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
If you do, we'll sue for like defamation.
I don't have that type of money, but okay.
Oh, you will. We will find it in your bed. We'll find it in your socks. We'll take all the quarters.
And where
pennies.
Where do you get your money from? The mud?
Somewhere? Oh, yeah. I am very good at finding money in the mud because people leave stuff all the time. They leave a quarter. They leave a penny. And then you start accumulating that stuff. You get like $200. Like, you ever hear about the whole positive imagery thing where it's like you keep imagining it and then all of a sudden you're kind of looking for it and all of a sudden you find it?
It's happened, I think.
That happens
on occasion.
That happens a lot if you really think about it. Like, I'm going to find a quarter, and then I'm going to find a quarter, and then lo and behold, you look around and you find a quarter, and then you find two.
At the beginning of winter, when you put your winter coat on and you find a $20 bill, that's like the most magical time.
Oh, yeah. No, that's happened to me so many times because I have multiple winter coats because obviously living in the city, you have to have them. So, yeah, that's happened to me multiple times, and I'm like, oh, I got 2 meals for the day.
Yeah, I usually just get $1 out of it because I know where my money's going. It's going right to the food.
So this week's episode is like a celebration. Like, we had a really awesome week here in Cleveland.
It was a very fun week, but the transportation was awful. Let me tell you, I was trying to get down to Brecksville. Do you know what happened? I go down there, so we changed the location, we changed the bus route, and I'm like, that's a bunch of horse crock. How could you change the schedule? And then I realized, because all the roads are closed off. But the fun thing though was that when I was down there trying to get the bus, there was a police officer trying to do like the bottle. You ever hear like the bottle flip challenge where you're trying to flip the bottle? And then it lands on the... He was trying to do that with a traffic cone. And it was hilarious because he could never get it right. So he's just flipping this damn thing. And I'm just like... And everyone's like, you can do it. You do great. I'm like, loser.
Oh, no.
No, I did not say that.
9th Street was closed for the red carpet ceremony, and I had to drive around that. I guess it's really awesome if you're like going downtown because you want to be part of the festivities, but it's minorly inconvenient.
I will say for my job, it made things very inconvenient getting down there. Usually we park downtown, but obviously there's pretty much nowhere to park. So we actually had some of our employees shuttling us downtown.
That's nice.
To drop us off. It would still take forever, and we'd have to go with all of our equipment. We had our wagons in the back carrying all this stuff, and it was tough, and there was a lot of walking back and forth in and out of the stadium, in and out of Play Ballpark. I was at both. So Yeah, it was rough.
I think most employers understand, though. There's a big festival going on
Yeah,
downtown.
of course. Yeah.
Especially yours.
Yeah, considering that, we were covering the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. But obviously, it's just, you're seeing, this road's open, and then it's not. You got to change where you're going, immediately. It's very inconvenient.
But it was a great experience for the city.
Oh, of course. I think that it's bringing multiple millions of dollars a day for the city. And that was a good week of festivities.
I think the economic benefit was supposed to be around $60 to $65 million for the city.
Which is, Jesus.
I could totally see it just with the amount of people that I saw. I mean, Play Ballpark and I was there for 2 days. I was there on the Saturday, and I was also there on the Monday.
And Play Ballpark,
part of the day.
Play
Yeah.
Ballpark was at the convention center, and it was kind of the thing to do if you're a visitor to the city when you're not watching the game or watching the home run derby or the other festivities. It's kind of the thing that you could do. You pay a certain amount of money. There's a free area that you could go to outdoors, and then there was the paid area inside the convention center where you could go in and just walk around and look at things and get autographs. Play virtual reality home run derby. I played that. I got a 50th place for the day.
Oh, wow. That's great, Caesar. 50th place.
Well, I got 8 home runs, and there was I can't remember the guy's name. He was a Florida Marlins player, Cliff something.
Cliff Floyd?
Cliff Floyd. I got the same amount of home runs that he did.
Really?
And we watched him bat while we were there.
Wow, that's pretty
50th
good.
out of the 3,000 people that probably played, or 10,000 people that probably played.
Yeah, I had
good.
a surprisingly good game. I've played those virtual reality games in the past and haven't fared so well. I think I played one a couple of years ago and I struck out every time.
See, if you ate more salad, you would have hit him right, Caesar. And see, you don't eat it, and then see what happens. Go vegetarian, Caesar, like me. Well, I just eat mud, so I'm a muditarian, but whatever.
But there was a little kid watching Cliff Floyd play, and his dad was standing beside him, and he's like, "Dad, can I go talk to him? Can I go talk to him?" And the dad was like, "No, he beat us in the '97 World Series." And he's like, "Come on, Dad, come on." He's like, "No, he's the Florida Marlin."
Yeah, when that World Series happened, I was 4 years old, so I don't really remember it. I vaguely remember my parents shouting at the TV, but I obviously couldn't put 2 and 2 together. I had no idea what it was about. But now looking back, I understand the resentment a little bit, but I have no ill will against the Florida, now Miami Marlins.
It's hard to have resentment against things that happened before your time, right?
Well, I don't blame Cliff Floyd because he came from a really cursed franchise. I mean, he came from the Montreal Expos. Come on. I mean, the Montreal Expos.
Before he played in.
Yeah, he was like one of the franchise stars. He could have won a World Series with them, but then everyone goes, "But we want to pay," which is fair. But at the same time, lockout shortened season, they canceled it. And then all of a sudden, Cliff Floyd, if he won a World Series with Montreal, which was very possible that squad, and around the mid-90s, that could have been, he could have stayed there, and we wouldn't be talking about the Florida Marlins beating the Cleveland Indians. We'd be talking about the Montreal Expos beating the Cleveland Indians.
That's a blast from the past.
Oh, it is. They're the Nationals.
I remember them.
They're the Nationals now.
Yeah, of course.
But they've gone through a couple transformations and a couple of really shitty owners. A bunch of old white guys that think, "I can develop a team, no problem. You work for under the wage, you work underwage, you work underpaid, and I just rake in all the money."
I think their stadium was cracking in half before they moved.
Yeah, something like that.
There was like a fracture and the building was settling incorrectly, and it was like cracking in half.
I also remember seeing highlights, and I mean, you see like Tampa Bay, how there's absolutely nobody there. Whenever anybody hit it towards the outfield, you saw like literally
Nobody.
5 or 6 people sitting in the stands, and that's it.
Right.
They were named the Expos because of World Expo, which is the same reason that the Major League All-Star game started for Chicago in, I think, 1933.
Yeah, 1933.
I had a World Fair at Comiskey Park, and Arch Ward, a sports editor for the Chicago Tribune, thought it would be a good idea to have all the best players in Major League Baseball play against each other. And it was supposed to be a one-time event for the World's Fair, and it was so popular that they decided to just keep doing it.
Huh. Interesting.
Actually, a little bit of a side note. You're right. It's for the Expo 67's World's Fair in Montreal.
Right.
Fun fact, the first player who hit a home run was Babe Ruth in 1933 for the All-Star game. He was originally from Baltimore, where this little mud man came from.
Oh, yeah?
And guess what? Another fun fact. You know the New York Yankees? You know where they originally were based from? Baltimore. And guess what they're called? The Baltimore Orioles. So think about it. For those who think...
Wait, the Yankees were originally the Orioles?
Yes, they were. For about a year.
So it's just like how the Ravens are the Browns, basically?
Yes.
Is it the exact same thing? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm having awful flashbacks.
No, this is a much shorter period of time because there's no history with that Orioles team, because that's kind of like how the Babe Ruth was kind of connected, and then they're like, oh, we're going up to New York. Why don't you come along? And then think about it, though. Derek Jeter, a Baltimore Oriole. Mickey Mantle, a Baltimore Oriole.
Okay, Ray Lewis, a Cleveland Brown. Ed Reed, a Cleveland Brown.
I'll take
Jonathan Ogden, a Cleveland Brown. All those 2 World Series, those are Cleveland's right there. Just one in a different city. That's all, folks.
I'll take 27 World Series pennants over 2 Super Bowls. I'll tell you that.
I used to be a Montreal Canadiens fan. At the time, the Canadiens had 25% of all Stanley Cups ever.
Yeah, that is insane. I was a hockey fan of the San Jose Sharks at first, because I thought they were originally based in Maine, but what I realized was actually just a Maine team that had the same name as the Sharks. So I just accidentally followed the San Jose Sharks because I thought they were from Maine as a little kid. So I was like, yeah, Maine Sharks, and they go, who? Who are you talking about? That team with the Sharks? No, that's the San Jose Sharks. Oh, and then I stopped following them.
Yeah, I have to say I did not grow up with hockey at all. Because, obviously we have the Monsters here, but
right.
An AHL team. And I've gone to a few games, but I can't say I'm a big hockey fan just because I wasn't around it when I was young. Obviously, I grew up with the Cavs, the Indians, and the Browns. And those are my teams, and that was pretty much it. And also a little Cleveland State basketball. I was in high school when Norris Cole was doing his thing.
Oh.
So that was actually a fun time. That was right after LeBron left. And Cleveland State, for a year, all of a sudden got really good. And, I mean, they were actually pretty good before that. They made the tournament a few times. And actually, they won a round. I think they beat Florida one of those years. It would have been 2007, 2008, something like that. But they were kind of under the radar because of LeBron's rise. And then all of a sudden, they started selling out a few games because there was the Cavs. I mean, there was nothing to watch with the Cavs. And it was kind of cool to see that for a quick second. And I just went to a Cleveland State game this year, and the difference is evident. Because there was maybe 100 people at the Wolstein Center. Maybe?
Oh, my gosh.
I think that was it.
Wow, that's a little bit sad.
It seems like, when I was a little kid, like the Michigans and the Dukes and all those people were completely dominating. And nowadays it seems like a smaller school can kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, you had Butler, a few years ago. Gonzaga. Is Gonzaga considered a smaller school? Is that a smaller school?
No.
Or is that just a school that's so far west that you think it's small and we just don't know the size of it?
I don't even know where Gonzaga is.
Can I guess at this?
Well,
I think it's Spokane. Spokane, Washington. That's my guess.
Let's see. Gonzaga. Spokane. Oh, yes. See, this is good. Our guests know more than we do.
That's why.
How big is the school?
Let's see. One of the 28 member institutions of the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities. 105 buildings on 152 acres. That's actually a shit ton. The endowment's almost $250 million. So it's it's not too big. It's 7,501 students. Yeah. So actually, it's kind of similar to it's in the Case and Rochester territory in terms of student size.
School.
Yeah,
for being so dominant.
Gonzaga, didn't they win a championship very recently, like the NCAA?
Yeah, I think it was a few years ago.
Yeah. I remember. I kind of remember that when Villanova, all like some smaller schools that kind of make it to the top. I remember that there was my friend who was like betting heavily on UNC, and then this was like when Villanova pulled up, like there was a last minute shot from UNC.
And I forget that guy's name. I was watching it, but that was obviously one of the best sports moments I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Winning a championship on a game winning shot. Doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. One shining moment is all on the line. One shining moment. You ever see that commercial, Charles Barkley?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Charles Barkley, because, he's such a famous college athlete and just professional athlete as well. They got him to sing One Shining Moment on the piano because he's notorious for being a horrible singer. And he's shown these skills numerous times on the NBA on TNT. Anyway, because he's such a big fan of the song, they decided to let him play on the piano, and he's playing the piano and go, the ball is tipped and there you are. Then I'm trying to remember the rest of the song. And then I just remember, one shining moment is all on the line. One shining moment.
I went to the University of Cincinnati, and over the past 5-6 years, they've either lost in the round of 32, so they've won one game in the tournament and then we're out, or just lost in the round of 64. Maybe that'll change now because Mick Cronin took a job at UCLA, and now we have Northern Kentucky's coach, their old coach, and they've been a pretty solid program over the last 2-3 years, literally right across the river in Cincinnati.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're obviously in Northern Kentucky, but maybe that'll change. I always liked Mick Cronin, but in Cincinnati, there's a lot of people who hate Mick Cronin because of that. I mean, they have these great regular seasons where they've won 30 games before. Right. They just lose in the round of 64. It's always disappointing, but I mean, there's so much pressure in those games. There is so much pressure. I can't blame these kids.
Anything can happen.
Right.
You're talking about 20-year-old, 19-year-old kids.
Right.
Like 1 year out of high school, a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Like look at Zion. Everyone's like, the hype's so big for him, And the next thing they have this they have a really rough, they went relatively far, but then, everyone's like, oh, they're going to win. I think, and then
UCF, a team in Cincinnati's conference, a team that I knew was pretty good, gave them the game of their life.
Oh, they got so close.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the difference for Taco Fall getting into the NBA. I think that might have been one of the big games that got him there. Because because him just being there. Because now everyone's talking about Taco Fall like, he's the next coming of Wilt Chamberlain. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I was about to say, is he on a team? He didn't get drafted, I know.
No, he's in Boston right now.
They picked him up or something. Yeah. And they kind of like a Matthew Dellavedova situation. He wasn't drafted, and the Cavs picked him up in the summer league, and the rest was history. Obviously, the size difference, but trajectory. Maybe.
We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, though. We need to talk about something that we're supposed to talk about this, the All-Star game.
We can talk about whatever we want.
But then our listeners are going to go, what the hell are these guys doing?
Isn't this the Major League Baseball All-Star episode?
Yeah, but there ain't no Taco Fall. If you imagine a 7'6" designated hitter or pitcher, Jesus, that'd be scary. I mean, they got someone like that in Syndergaard. He's like 6'10".
Taco Fall sounds delicious.
He ain't delicious. Let me tell you that much.
No. I just imagine going out into the wilderness and seeing a waterfall full of tacos.
That is a very bizarre thing, Caesar. I think you might need some help, Caesar. I just think of a very tall man.
Really tall people at the All-Star game. And so part of my job when I covered the All-Star game, not to flex on anybody here, as the kids say, but I got to go on the field for pregame. Basically, I'm operating a camera. I'm operating live shots for John Telich and Andre Knott, who were doing the Fox 8 broadcast for the All-Star game and for the pregame. And so Fox 8 has a 4 o'clock show, 5 o'clock show, 6 o'clock show, and a 7 o'clock show. So for all those hours, that's what I was doing. So you had players walking in and out, coming out of the dugouts and everything. One player who really stood out to me, like in terms of this guy is massive. Aroldis Chapman. He's really huge. He's like LeBron size.
I used to be a Reds fan.
Hold on.
I'm still a Reds fan.
And and as an Indians fan, obviously, Aroldis Chapman is somebody we really don't like too much. And he got booed. But I mean, he is massive.
Yeah.
He is, and he almost looks like a basketball player more than a baseball player. And I mean, you have all different body types in baseball, in any sport, but it kind of blew me away. I'm like, wow, that guy is really tall and is just like really built.
Watching Chapman play for another team, it's hard. We were talking about the NBA a minute ago. There's so many people switching from one team to another. And that's hard too. Like, who do you root for? Do you root for your team or do you root for your former player?
It's insane. Like, think about Manny Machado. Like, he was in Baltimore. Literally, the transition was Baltimore, Dodgers, and then San Diego within 1 year. He goes to three teams. He transfers between three teams within 1 year. And you kind of think about it, you go, crap, what do I do? Because, like, he's so talented. Do I still support the Orioles? Do I support the Dodgers? Do I support the Padres? But obviously, I'm an Orioles fan through and through. If you became a fan of one team because of one player, and then they move somewhere else,
I think it's harder to be a sports fan now than it has been in the past.
Everyone's moving.
I'll just say, at least me, and I think I would speak for most fans of this city, that we only root for our teams and our teams only.
Right.
When LeBron left, I did not root for him anymore.
Right. I rooted against him.
Yeah. And I did too. And I was mad about the way he did the decision, but obviously came back and kind of all was forgiven. And he's a great human being.
For some reason, it doesn't seem as bad this time. He didn't.
No,
when he went to LA, it's just, I'm not as upset about it.
No, I could see the rift between him and the management. I knew where it was going.
Right, we've all seen it before.
Yeah, but to your question, I mean, who do you root for, a player or a team? Like, once a player switches teams, for me, it's always, I grew up here. This is my city.
Right,
I'm always going to root for my teams. I don't care who's on it.
And logically, you can't like blame a guy for wanting millions more dollars. But at the same time, it's like, come on, man, you left my team. You were my Aroldis Chapman was on my team. We were amazing at the time. Ooh. Like, we were in the Reds were in the playoffs every year. And then
they had one of the best pitching staffs. I was in college around that time.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, as a Cleveland sports fan, I mean, I don't like, the Reds play in the NL, so I don't really mind the Reds. I really don't like the Bengals. I really don't like the Bengals. I really don't like Bengals fans. But
I think that's why I've been able to transition to being a quasi Indians fan, is because I've always been a quasi Indians fan. As growing up in Central Ohio, I was a Reds fan. But even in '97, when they went to the playoffs and went to the World Series, I kind of rooted for them. So it's not like I'm rooting against my arch rival.
I'll just say on the Reds' behalf, boy, it's a shame that they didn't get it done any of those years. They had the best pitching staff in the MLB for 3 or 4 years straight.
That San Francisco series was brutal. What were we up, 2-0?
Something
against
like that.
San Francisco?
Something monstrous. By the way, I found the height for our good old Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman. He's 6'4", so he's 5 inches shorter than LeBron. But he
seemed bigger than that to me, but
who knows? Sometimes you cut the play a little bit short. Maybe he has like a complex about how tall he is. I do. Like, I never reveal my actual height because I feel like I'm a little bit too tall. Because you go to the back of the store and then they go, well, we only have slim fit, and then you try to go there and the slim fit it starts to rip, and then all of a sudden you go, well, we do have one shirt and it's covered in stains in the back, and it's like, that would be $200, sir. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. For that, no. So I'm thinking that's what he's going through. He is a big man like me. We can relate. We are big mud monsters that need a more big man stores. Where is the representation here?
What is it? Big and tall?
Big and tall. Oh, not only big and tall, but big, tall, and fat.
Big, tall, and muddy.
And muddy, yes. And
that's okay. I still get my pants from the kids section, so.
All right. This is usually where we take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right. Hey, Fred, do you smell something?
I don't know. It smells moldy.
I smell that too.
Wait. Oh. I see something behind you. It's a white-looking thing.
Is it Smelly Moldy Ghost?
Yes, it is. How you doing?
Smelly Moldy Ghost, how are you?
Good. I'm trying to find you guys. Where the hell you been?
Well, you don't have to look for us anywhere. You can find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or online at theclevelandpodcast.com.
So I can't find you on Pornhub?
No, Smelly Moldy Ghost, but you can always email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com.
Okay. Welcome to two white guys talking about something they don't know about.
We're back.
We are back with our guest.
He knows. He's also white though.
That makes three white guys who have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh yeah, you ever hear about the meme of like the three white guys with middle class backgrounds? You know what we just did? A podcast.
Oh, that's totally a white guy thing to do.
Yeah, that probably would go under the subreddit of the starter packs.
Yeah, right. There's a star pack for podcast. Three white guys that don't know what they're talking about. And you're just gonna go put them in there. You find that and just go perfect.
So it was an amazing, fun week.
Yeah, all-star. Yeah.
But it's not over. In 2020, we have the NCAA men's first and second round. In 2021, we have the NFL draft. In 2022, we have the NBA All-Star Game.
Oh, okay.
For my occupation, you know what that means?
A lot of work.
More work.
But bonuses.
And overtime. A lot of overtime, which is good.
See?
I do get overtime, and I'm very fortunate to have that.
Did you know that the Cleveland Indians have the most All-Star games ever of any team? Yeah.
How many?
6.
Oh, cool.
It's third most for a city. Chicago and New York.
Right.
Between the two teams.
Right, exactly.
Have had more. New York has had 9 All-Star games, and Chicago has had 7 between the White Sox and the Cubs. But as far as teams go, there were a lot of teams tied at 5. The Reds, the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Indians. And with this last All-Star game, the Indians became the leader.
Numero uno. Suck it.
Right.
The rest of these MLB teams suck. Including the Reds.
No.
You don't want this. You don't want this beef. Marlins can get it. New York Yankees can get it. Even my own Orioles can get it. Suck it.
You know, a lot of media outlets have brought up the fact that Cleveland did such a great job hosting the All-Star game. You know, you see like a bunch of those stories. Yeah. I do think it is true, though. I think we did do a good job overall. I could just see people were having a good time walking through crowds of people over and over again. Yeah. And even though maybe I wasn't having the best time, obviously I'm working and I'm focused on different things. It was good to see the amount of joy that people were experiencing in the city.
It was a blast for me. I went down on Saturday and went to the play ball park, and then I watched the Killers.
Oh yeah, they're right. They went down.
I heard. So I was setting up a live shot.
Yeah.
Basically, after the concert was over is when people were coming out, and that's when we were going live. We were delayed because of whatever baseball game was on that night. The Killers sounded really good, actually. Oh, they sounded really good, and I've always been sort of a fan, and I'm happy that I at least got to hear like a few of their songs at the end. So that was pretty cool.
That's how I feel too. I'm sort of a fan. I don't know all the songs, and I don't know like every lyric to every song.
Jealousy, turning saints into...
And everybody who's ever done... That's like the karaoke song that people destroy. And so when they started singing, like everybody knew it because it was like that karaoke song. Yeah. And you couldn't even hear the singer singing. It was like the first thing they came out with. The lyrics are so simple.
Right.
Simple but yet complex. Makes you think, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of like that in a band.
Simple yet complex.
And then 21 Pilots played on Friday.
Yeah, no comment on that. I'm not a fan of 21 Pilots.
I wasn't there for that one.
Well, the recent album supposedly was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just not my bag. I mean, they have a huge following. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I respect their fan base and everything. I mean, they really have built a fan base. They're from Columbus, I believe, right?
They are, yeah.
But, yeah, it's kind of this whiny thing that I just can't get over. Maybe that's just me, but I'm just not really a fan.
I don't know if it was their last album, but the album like when I first moved to town here, and I guess that would have been 2015, 16, somewhere around there. I enjoyed that album. Mm-hmm. But I know so many people before that who just loved 21 Pilots, and there was not a song that I ever was able to latch onto before that.
Yeah, maybe their cover band's called 21 Aviators or something.
I always remember that one song. It's like, we can turn back time.
Oh my God. Nails on a chalkboard for me.
But there were a lot of really fun things to do. There was a color run on Sunday. There was a celebrity softball game. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Field, right?
Yeah.
Justin Bieber apparently was balling the fuck out.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Was he in that game?
I thought it was Justin Bieber. This is where I could be terribly
Shane
wrong.
Bieber won the MVP for the actual All-Star game for the Indians.
Oh, then maybe that is who I'm thinking of. My apologies. Oh, dear.
There's a big difference there.
We can edit that out.
We can keep it in there because this is a good joke, though. Because I could say, I'm just sorry.
I just actually looked it up today. Justin Bieber is a year older than Shane Bieber.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I think I'm a year older than Justin Bieber. Okay. So maybe I'm getting sidetracked here because you got me on the whole Bieber thing. The first time I heard Justin Bieber was on Z1079 because I do listen to Z1079 and the new hip hop station, the 106.1. I don't know. I forget what they're calling it. It's whatever. I forget what the song was called. It was One Time.
Okay.
You know? I tell you one time, so that song came on and I'm like, this is a black girl. Oh. That's what I thought.
That's what you thought.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But because, he was saying shorty in the song and everything. So that was my assumption.
Yeah.
But no, it was a white male.
Yeah.
And there's nothing nothing against him. I have nothing against him whatsoever. I mean, it just threw me off completely.
There are so many times when I thought like a white singer was a black singer or a female singer was a male singer or vice versa.
Right. And that was maybe the one time that it happened to me.
Cultural appropriation at its finest, as we can say. However, he is co-signed by Usher and Ludacris, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, but I did read once that people thought Elvis Presley was black when he first came out, and they thought Chuck Berry was white.
I've heard that too. But
which
that's
at the time was way more of a big deal.
Can you imagine like Elvis Presley singing like Maybelline by Chuck Berry? Maybelline.
Can't you be true?
Can't you be true? He swings his hips like in this weird rustic robotic pelvic thrust, and all the ladies go, "Oh, Elvis, it's so small."
Oh no!
Don't be cruel,
Maybelline. Don't be so cruel.
And then on Sunday, that same day, there was a Futures All-Star game. I didn't watch that.
Yeah, that was the one day I had off because I worked Saturday. I usually don't work Saturdays. I work Monday through Friday on the night shift from 3 to 11 p.m. But they called me in to work Saturday. I had Sunday off, so I didn't see any of that. Yeah. I did see some of the highlights of the celebrity game. MGK hit a home run.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever. I mean, I guess it was kind of fun, but I was surprised that they sold that one out. Wasn't that game sold out?
Or close to it.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the stadium was packed for that game, and it was just like, I mean, I guess you see Jim Thome playing again and Travis Hafner.
Also, I got my picture taken with Jim Thome.
Oh, very nice.
But the problem is I'm not really an Indians fan from back then. So it was just like I was taking a picture with.
See, that was always my younger brother's favorite player, Jim Thome. So
really?
I mean, it's a big deal. Yeah.
I actually was looking it up because, obviously I screwed up with the Bieber thing. So I had to reaffirm myself with the roster for the celebrity softball.
Can you confirm that Justin Bieber is not on the roster?
He's not on there. but
he's played in other celebrity games.
He played in a
basketball NBA, one a few years ago. Yeah. You're definitely right about that.
But J.R. Smith was in the celebrity softball. He was out.
He also hit a home run. He did his celebration. The
windmill 3 with the guy.
Yeah, whatever that's called.
Which
it was good to see. And by the way, it was great I have to say as a fan, it was great to see that he got sort of a standing ovation and everything because he had the big blunder, which would have been 2 years ago now. But I will never forget Game 7 of the NBA Finals, the few threes he hit in that third quarter. Those were huge. That could have been the difference between winning and losing that game.
Oh, yeah. So I say that the little mistake for JR, I'm like, all those threes they well over compromised for that blunder where we knew that they weren't going to beat the Warriors. Come on. Like in 2018, come on.
And looking back, people say, well, that series could have been a lot different.
No.
Maybe they would have won that game, but we're probably not beating the Warriors. As much as I don't like them, you probably weren't beating them.
Come on. I mean, LeBron had to go Superman in order to carry them through all that stuff and to go through each round. I mean, even Indiana gave us fits. Indiana.
Yeah, they were actually a good team that year.
Yeah, they were good though.
And they're getting better. It really kind of sucks that Victor Oladipo had that injury.
Yeah.
And cut his season. I think, what was it, an ACL or something?
Something.
Yeah, it was awful. I just felt so bad. I kind of do feel bad for the Pacers. They kind of remind me of a Cleveland sports team a little bit because they've had all this heartbreak. I mean, here's the other thing as a Cleveland sports fan. When you see heartbreak for other teams, that's not Boston or New York or Los Angeles or Chicago. you just feel so bad. I'm just like, I feel your pain. I feel it. And I just felt it with the Pacers when Victor Oladipo went down. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Well, I think Indiana is always close to my heart because of Reggie Miller and how it was shooting all those shots in the last couple seconds of the game against the Knicks. And then he did the whole choke symbol against Spike Lee, which was like, I'm like, yes. And I think that's where it began, all the Stephen A. Smith stuff, And it's like, if you're a Knicks fan, this is blasphemous, outrageous, bullshit. These Knicks, man, I can't believe it. We could have got the number 1 pick. Number 1 pick. Well, we got the number 3. If you're a New York fan, I don't give a crap about all of yous.
I don't know how I feel about the lottery. Like, if I'm the worst team in the league, I want something.
Caesar, you bring up a good point here. I don't know how I feel about that either, because in the NBA, you don't want to be in the middle, obviously. You don't want the middle is basically purgatory.
Right.
You either want to be the best or you want to be the worst. But when you have a bunch of teams trying to be the worst, it makes, obviously, the product bad and obviously makes people not want to watch.
That's a lot of games to tank.
Yeah.
It makes season that long.
Yeah, and it's so long. And obviously the Cavs have been on both sides of the coin now. And I just hate the mentality of you have to lose. You have to lose to get better.
Right.
You have to lose to get better. I just hate that mentality because I've seen so much losing as a Cleveland sports fan that I want my teams to win.
Right.
For God's sakes. I mean, is that too hard to ask?
I mean, this season, despite the fact that, second place is a little bit, unfortunately, kind of a similar vein, unfortunately, with the losing a little bit.
But in the past, the Cavs have gotten pretty lucky, right? Almost to the point where people are like, this is collusion,
with the Kyrie Irving pick and then even the Anthony Bennett pick.
There was like 3 straight number ones. It was Kyrie,
Anthony Bennett,
and then then Andrew Wiggins.
I don't know if that was straight, but they were like within like 4 or 5 years of each other. Yeah.
But still, you think, but I think one of the best advantages though about something like the All-Star game for baseball is that even with the tanking teams, like the Orioles, the worst team in baseball, they had an all-star representative. Like all the teams pretty much have all-star representatives depending on the voting, which is great because it's not like sometimes with the NBA with like the players, which, God bless them for having media and players pick the players, but sometimes players on not so great teams but performing really well don't get the recognition. And sometimes, of course the opposite side of it is that fans will try and vote people in that may not deserve it, like in the NBA with Zaza Pachulia. He almost became an all-star starter at one point in the NBA All-Star game.
Zaza Pachulia.
And he only averaged I think he was averaging around or less than 8 to 10 points a game that year when he almost got a couple times because there's all these fans from his home country that are voting him in. He's got a cult following.
What was his home country?
Georgia. Not the state of Georgia, obviously. Right. But the thing is, with the MLB All-Star game, I feel like there's a bunch of everybody. There's really like a whole concoction of different players from different teams.
It really is like the most diverse.
Yeah. Like I'd say it's probably the best All-Star performance set out of all the major sports leagues. Yeah. At least in my opinion. In my very biased expert opinion. But I want to actually ask you a question, Will, about, obviously you working at the All-Star game.
Sure.
And then, so then when you were filming, like what do you really see when you're trying to film? What's the best thing that kind of like comes out?
So I'll just explain. I was not actually, recording the All-Star game itself.
Oh.
Our station does not have, our local station does not have the rights to that. So I wasn't like on the field during the All-Star game. I wasn't one of the cameramen that you see recording the actual game. I was on the field before the game and after the game.
Okay.
So, and there's pretty much the same case for the home run derby as well. So like I said before, Aroldis Chapman is ginormous. That really stood out to me. Another thing that happened was during our live shot again, John Telich and Andre Knott. Actually, it was Andre Knott who was doing it. And Andre Knott you see during the Indians games. He's on STO. Francisco Lindor and Michael Brantley both crashed a live shot that he was doing, and then he just started interviewing him right on the spot. So that was, and Michael Brantley's not with the team anymore. Like, he was kind of still buddies with Andre Knott and everything. So that was really cool to see.
Right.
Also, you get to see, the players getting mic'd up. Francisco Lindor, they put like the little battery pack. Like there's a guy putting it in his back pocket, and he's kind of just standing there, probably kind of looked a little annoyed, obviously wanted it to be over because he just wanted to go and warm up and do his thing. He's probably, he doesn't care about all that mic'd up nonsense. You can kind of see it on his face. That's at least what it came across to me as.
Right.
Well, the first guy that was hitting, I think in the first inning, they were asking one of the baseball players while he was hitting questions. Did you see that?
So I didn't see I know that, and I've seen on TV, and obviously this is when I'm editing my stories and stuff, so I didn't see any of that, but I've seen past All-Star games where they're asking somebody in the field. They were asking somebody at the plate?
Yes.
Really?
And he struck out.
Well, that's... I mean, can you blame him?
No, I can't.
That's super distracting.
And that was the only one they did from that point forward. It was just people in the outfield.
Right.
Who was it? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't.
Was he pissed? I bet he was pissed.
Probably furious.
I could just... He seemed kind of annoyed.
Right. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. You're interviewing me while I'm trying to hit the darn thing.
And it's Joe Buck interviewing him, right?
Oh, God.
I think so.
What'd you think about this?
It's a pretty good
down the field. Oh, that's so disgusting. Randy Moss just mooned the entire Green Bay crowd. I'm so disgusted. Don't you agree, Troy Aikman?
Wait, do the one with Kyle. Do the one with Kyle Schwarber from the 2000. He was obsessed with Kyle Schwarber.
Oh, I can't remember that one.
2016 World Series. Oh, Kyle Schwarber. Oh, you do a better imitation.
Kyle Schwarber down left field. He's going, gone. It's a home run.
And we will see you tomorrow night.
Kiss my ass, Ernie Johnson.
So Monday was the home run derby.
What a derby. Can we say that maybe was the best of all time?
Probably.
Can I say that? Am I biased in saying that?
Are we experts here, Caesar?
I'm no expert.
I ain't no expert either, so you can say whatever bullshit you want.
That was insanity. Because you had the 3 sudden deaths, I think. I don't even know. I can't call it extra innings or overtime or whatever, because I think, was it a new rule this year? The swing off and everything. I think that was a new rule this year. But yeah, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Jock Peterson put on a show. And you know what? I knew from the instant that happened that both of them were not going to win. Because the same thing happened to Josh Hamilton back in 2008.
Right.
When he had that amazing round of 28, which is now broken by Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Jock Peterson, who had 30 eventually. We're breaking it first with 29 in the first round, and then the second round going to 30. But in 2008, Bobby Abreu won it.
Right.
Yeah, Bobby Abreu, who didn't hit as many home runs total as Josh Hamilton.
Right.
He just ended up taking because he probably wasn't as tired. That'd be my guess. And that's the same thing with Pete Alonso and the Mets.
Right.
He barely beat Carlos Santana in the first round. He snuck by. He ends up winning the entire thing. So.
Well, it's all about pacing yourself.
I think the most amazing part of the Derby, at least just the most mesmerizing thing, I was watching from the press box, was Vlad Guerrero Jr. hitting the scoreboard twice. And just seeing baseballs being hit to parts of the ballpark that I've never seen in person, like somebody hit it that far before. I've seen it on TV a few times, like Jim Thome's on the Eagle Avenue home run. I've seen that highlight. And the only person I remember hitting the scoreboard, and it was in an actual game, and granted it was the steroid era, was Mark McGwire. It's been so long since somebody has hit the scoreboard. That is so freaking far.
Is it bad that I missed the steroid era?
What do you mean? No.
It was so fun.
It's just a bunch of dingers and everyone goes, it's gun, and it's juiced. It's just like you kind of, everything's with an asterisk, and it feels a little bit more just like, yeah, but you were injecting stuff into your arm. Like Barry Bonds, he was an Hall of Fame player before juicing up, and now I'm like, how long were you juicing? We can't trust you with any of this shit.
But I don't miss Barry Bonds, but I do miss the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire home run chase.
It was exciting. It seemed like it was exciting. And there's been, people have talked about, was Jim Thome on steroids? Was Travis Hafner on steroids?
No.
Any of these guys. Yeah. Obviously, Manny Ramirez had his substance.
Right.
But to your question, Caesar, yeah, I do miss it. Because, it made games more fun. You saw more scoring. Some people prefer pitching. And I think pitching's cool up until a point, but now we get a lot more pitching duels, I feel like.
Although apparently
1-0s, 2-0, stuff like that.
Apparently there's a bunch of home runs being hit now to the point that people are asking if players are juicing up again.
I've heard that too. There were a lot of home runs this year, right?
Particularly with the home run derby, I think everyone's like, hold on, that's pretty intense. And Josh Hamilton, who also was kind of busted for like other performance enhancing?
Yeah,
and
at
other
some point in time.
and even
Yeah.
harder stuff too. Like, I do believe it was like harder drugs on top of it.
He had a whole substance abuse thing, and his life went down the tubes. And then he kind of came back, and I don't know what happened.
I think it kind of just kept it stable. But, but now it's like, now everyone's like, oh, maybe they're juicing again somehow. It's just kind of funny. But, I, for one, actually am one of those guys who likes the pitching duels because I am really afraid someone's going to get hit in the head with the baseball. So I have this fear that the players are going to get hurt, like really badly.
You mean like when they hit the ball?
Well, no. Well, when they're trying to hit it, because this thing's going 99 to 100 miles per hour. Or if you're Noah Syndergaard, you're getting close to 110. That is enough to kill you. Like, there are people who've been killed because of the thing, And I know it's kind of getting more serious, but, let me tell you, I have a fear of balls being thrown at my face.
Right.
Like, I got hit with a baseball. Yeah. And when I was a kid, and I remember like I had this huge welt on my back, and and I was just kind of looking at this thing, and it was like the most gruesome thing I ever seen because I was a very healthy kid. I would barely get injured, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing this huge thing, and it made me afraid of skin things and baseballs being thrown.
From that perspective, baseball players are very brave. They literally have something being thrown at them.
Yes.
Over and over and over.
And I think there was an Indians player that died after it was back in the day, Ray Chapman. I think he was a shortstop.
Something like that.
You have to fact check me on that. I don't remember the year. It was in the 20s, I believe. It was against the Yankees, too.
But it shows you why we hate them.
Yeah, so much so. Like, I remember the Plain Dealer years ago did a write-up on, most hated sports figures in Cleveland, and one of them was whoever that pitcher was for the Yankees. He literally killed one of our players.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of maybe teams that I hate as a Cleveland sports fan, I don't know if you want to include this.
Yeah.
At least for me, and I think Cleveland sports fans could agree with this sentiment growing up here. On the baseball side of things, number one, I think, is the Boston Red Sox after the 2007 ALCS for me, and just obnoxious Boston fans in general. All Boston sports teams I dislike with a passion. The Red Sox are up there. The Yankees, obviously, for their reasons. We're basically their farm team, just like your Baltimore Orioles, Mud Monster. It's another farm team for the Yankees. And then I'd also put in our division the Tigers. I really don't like the Tigers, and I really don't like their fans. They're obnoxious, and it brings me so much joy that they're so bad right now. Oh, warms my heart. Oh.
I'm surprised that the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, you want to talk football? Oh, so yeah, I mean, on the football side of things. Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't know who I hate more in terms. The traditional rival for the Browns is obviously the Steelers,
right? And
that goes back years and years and years. Yeah. Hasn't been much of a rivalry since. It's really the Steelers and the Ravens are more of a huge rivalry because they're competing for the playoffs every year. And as you know, Mud.
But you're not even saying this, Fred, just like Mud. I don't even think you view this.
Every time they play, I'm like, please tie. I hate when either of those teams win.
Oh yeah.
But I really don't know who I hate more between the Steelers and the Ravens. It's really close. Then the Bengals are just behind that, and then the Patriots for me.
Well, fun fact, between the Browns and the Ravens, it's the worst winning percentage for any team in the NFL. Regarding the Browns, they actually lose the most to Baltimore.
To Baltimore, because, I thought, Ben Roethlisberger, I think, for the Steelers, has only lost to us twice in his career, I think.
Yeah, something insane.
And he's been playing since 2005 or something. He's been playing for a while now.
I think things are about to change.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be so refreshing. Yeah. Actually, salad. Did I just call you salad? Caesar. Actually, salad. Caesar.
See, it's working, Caesar. It's working. It's becoming a meme. You are becoming the meme of the podcast.
Were you at the Windless Parade? I think I think I was in the same group. We all went down. I mean, it was so bitterly cold, but I'm so glad I was there for that. It was fun.
Fantastic.
That was people had mixed feelings about that. You should be making fun of your team. I'm a huge Browns fan.
Yeah.
But
you gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta have some levity.
Right. At that point in time, that was the fans saying to the team, get your stuff together.
Right.
Get it together, guys. And if that wasn't a wake-up call, I don't know what is.
That's true. That's definitely that's so much the case. I mean, for me, when they going 1-16, I actually for the first time felt bad as a Ravens fan. I actually felt like a deep pain. I'm like, oh man, another 0-16 team because I love to really rub it the most against the Lions for some reason. You know, I'm just like, oh, Detroit.
That's random.
Well, I don't know. I have random teams I pick on for some reason. Like I pick on, let's see, I pick on the Wizards. I pick on.
Okay, that's easy target.
I pick on what was the team I just mentioned? The Lions. I pick on Tottenham Hotspur for football for some reason. I don't know why. And then I pick on the New York Islanders.
Speaking of being picked on, Cleveland sports fans, in my opinion, have been the victim, and not so much anymore because I think now it's just been publicized so much, whether via video medium and writing mediums. But we have been obviously picked on, and honestly, as a kid, I really didn't understand that. I grew up rooting for my teams, and we never won, but I always really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the passion of Cleveland sports fans, and I felt like I was a part of something bigger than my family or myself. It just felt like you were part of something bigger. But when I went to an overnight camp in Michigan, this would have been 2006, 2007. So, I mean, I was probably in middle school at the time. Most of the kids were from Chicago and a few from Detroit. I mean, they looked at me and they were like, so Cleveland, huh? That's where you're from. Do you live in a shack or something? Like, that's literally, and I'm like, or how's Ohio? And my favorite is, how's Ohio? How's your farm on Ohio? I'm like, no, Cleveland's an actual city. There is industry here and everything. But it surprised me at how much they would pick on / kind of even hated for no reason. Right. I mean, it just seemed like that there was this unnecessary anger towards us. I didn't do anything.
I kind of feel like there's, like, when you go to Detroit, there's this mentality of, at least we're not Cleveland. And when you're in Cleveland, there's this mentality of, at least we're not Detroit.
Right. And that I get that drift with Cincinnati too. Oh my God, don't even get me started. Yeah. No offense to all my Cincinnati friends who are listening, but
remember Sam Weiss?
Well, I was before my time. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is not Cleveland.
By the way, they live by that clip. They still hang on to that clip like it's their everything because nothing good has happened in Cincinnati sports in years and years since 1990 when the Reds won the World Series.
Yeah.
By the way, the Browns have won a playoff game more previously than the Cincinnati Bengals. Fun fact.
Oh wow.
Yes,
that's true. I mean, they almost did though against the Steelers, but then the helmet thing happened with Burfitt.
Right. Cincinnati has this little man syndrome, in my opinion, about Cleveland.
Like Napoleon?
Maybe I'm not quite understanding to that effect. I don't know.
Napoleon's a little man.
Well, I mean, actually, Napoleon was actually...
Is that even the right term, little man syndrome? They are jealous. What I'm trying to convey is that they are jealous of Cleveland because, an NBA team. We have an NBA franchise. We've actually won something more recently than that. There's all these little things. Well, we're still better than Cleveland. And then I always ask them, have you actually been to the city? And they'll say, no. Well, how can you even judge? I've been to Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati. I think it's a nice town. I really do. I don't like the Bengals. Just like mud, like Baltimore's a great town. I don't like the Ravens.
Exactly.
But there's this unnecessary, I hate the Browns, I hate the Indians, I hate the Cat, it angers them so much. They're jealous of us. They are all jealous of us in Cincinnati.
Like, it's kind of weird, like, from my perspective, like Baltimore and Pittsburgh, we say we don't like each other, but we respect each other because we won at the highest levels, and we go, we're just going to beat the living shit out of each other. And that's okay. Because we're going to be, in the end, kind of like brothers in arms because we're so close. But, like, for instance, I do say that since I've moved here, I've never seen something more adamant with Cincinnati and Cleveland. It's just, they just clash.
Let me ask you this as an outsider. Do you think that, when Clevelanders talk about Cincinnati, do you sense that there's a hatred for Cincinnati? Because I never really did here, but I noticed it vice versa, but maybe that's just my perspective.
I sense a dislike. Like,
I think maybe when I was a younger kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Both teams were in the playoffs every year.
Or when Sam Weiss goes, this is not Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I heard that clip while I was there. Because I interned for a station in Cincinnati. I interned for the ESPN affiliate. Anytime Cleveland came up, oh boy, they love to just rag on them so much. Like, and they played that clip. They had promos for different products. And by the way, they love Skyline chili for whatever reason.
I know.
I think it's the grossest thing on the planet.
I don't know.
I ate there in Cincinnati, and it was all right. Nothing really crazy. But I will say the food is a little bit healthier, and that I do not like.
When I was interning at it's ESPN 1530, it was, and I don't know, maybe I don't know if this was before you came to Cleveland, Mud Monster, but maybe you remember this, Caesar.
He was here before I was.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so this was when Johnny Manziel was the quarterback for the Browns. Fox 8 actually sent Little John, TV personality way back in the 80s. He's a midget, like going back to the 80s and 70s.
I thought you meant like Little John, like the rapper.
No, Little. This is Little John, not Little John.
Yeah, it's Johnny Manziel on the ball. Yeah.
So they sent him down to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because I think Marvin Lewis said something to the effect that Johnny Manziel is short or something. He's very small. It had to do with his height. I forget the exact comments. They sent Little John down, and he's sitting in the front row, and he asked Marvin Lewis a question about Johnny Manziel's height.
Yeah.
And you could tell that he's all of a sudden embarrassed by it, and he got a reaction out of him. So the host that I was working with in Cincinnati, that was a blasphemous BS move by Cleveland, and he just went on. And I'm like, really? It's just a little troll thing. You know?
Right.
I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Rival.
I mean, it was just, and it just kind of reassured that little man syndrome in Cincinnati's part to me. That's just to me, though. Anyway.
Right.
You have 10 minutes?
Probably like 5 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can we go through the actual All-Star game?
Yes.
Real quick?
Yeah, please.
5 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
And then we had the All-Star game, which was the big event on Tuesday. Shane Bieber was the MVP,
Not Justin.
not Justin.
Yeah, it was pretty remarkable to see an MVP, hometown MVP. I mean, I don't know when the last time that's happened. It's probably happened before, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And for somebody who wasn't even pitching in the majors until recently,
And he got 3 strikeouts, which is
struck out the side. Yeah.
incredible. I think he was the only guy who did that. Wasn't he?
Yeah. And I think that's the reason he got it.
And then Brad Hand came in later, almost blew it, but he didn't. And then the AL won.
One thing I will say about the All-Star game, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I really liked it when the winner had World Series advantage because I think they made the players
care more
a little bit. And I mean, I wish it was the same way for the NBA, but at one point in time, and I don't know when it changed, it was recently, or was it like 10 years ago or 5 years ago?
It was in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's when I liked it more when the team that wins the All-Star game gets World Series advantage because obviously the players, I think, played harder. I think, and it made me want to watch more than it does now, perhaps.
Sure. I can definitely agree with that.
But some people just, we don't want them to get injured and stuff. So I see that. I really do, but I just never really
But there's
understood
bound
that.
to be. You're playing you're playing a sport at the highest level. Something bound to screw up. There's going to be a bone, a muscle, and one of these athletes' bodies that goes, I'm tired of your shit. I'm moving out. And then all of a sudden something bad happens.
And then there was a really amazing tribute to Carlos Carrasco, who was diagnosed with leukemia this year, and they took some time to honor him.
What a special and cool moment, and obviously something that goes beyond sports.
Definitely.
Yeah, and again, I didn't see it because I was working at the time, but going back and looking at it, what a cool moment. And obviously all the best to Cookie, as they call him.
Yeah, and it was a really amazing week for the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. I think that really, when you take a look back at the whole thing, I mean, I just seeing all the smiles downtown and everybody just having a good time, whether they were going to the All-Star game or they're going to play ballpark or the concert or whatever they were doing downtown. They were having a good time, it seemed like. And that made me happy, even though I was working my butt off at the time. But it made me happy just to see that so many people were enjoying the place where I grew up.
Well, Will, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
As our first guest, the bar's raised pretty high.
Thank you, third white guy.
I'd be happy to come on at some point in time.
I think we're going to do the Browns soon. Browns preview.
And the best part is there'll be a fourth middle-class white guy. A mega podcast.
All right, this has been the Cleveland Podcast.
Yeah.
Later.
I can't find you on Pornhub? Shit! We gotta include that line, though.